Welcome back to Corporate Holiday, folks, and gather round. Let me tell you a story. Back in the day of the earlier internet, you didn't just go on Steam to buy every game. Especially for casual games, there are a few sites you could pick games up from, and some of them are still around, like Big Fish Games or Shockwave. Now there were a few games that had like a flash game demo, and then you paid some money to download a deluxe version, and there was a few that gave you an hour to play the full game before it shut down and asked you to cough up some money. Sometimes though, the game wouldn't immediately shut down, and instead wouldn't register how much time you spent in the game until you closed the game. And so there I was, young Corporate Holiday with the same game loaded on his computer for like 5 weeks straight. And today's video is on that game. It's a pretty niche game, and was one of the first games I've talked about here without a Wikipedia page. Tropix is a collection of puzzle and platformer games tied together by a cute island progression system, created by Robot Superbrain and published by Mumbo Jumbo, not the YouTuber. The game is a collection of 11 different minigames which allow you to earn sand dollars, a currency that lets you buy decorations for your island. Completing an island's fun, comfort, and food will unlock a new game, and you rinse and repeat. Now as a kid, I could get a lot of time out of any of these games individually, so a collection of 11 packed together had a lot of punch. Now the main one I want to talk about is Jungle Jump. It's a simple platformer where you swing from vine to vine, avoid obstacles, and collect bananas. The game has a ton of levels and 9 worlds, and features a variety of backgrounds, gimmicks, and even a type of boss fight at one point. Some of these mechanics, like the vines you grind on, really hit those neurons in my brain. I mean, look at this section, put some Sonic music over it, and it's indistinguishable. Now I'll admit, Jungle Jump is the only minigame I played to completion while booting up the game again for this video, mainly because it's what I remember the most. I was genuinely surprised by how long it was, the effort put into the little cutscenes, and the final levels in each world that tried to change up the goal a bit, like climbing a waterfall. And the different things you can do to take advantage of the speed lets you go through each level a little bit faster, so there's a little bit of movement tech in there too. The levels do start to get noticeably shorter at the very end though, but considering how many levels there are in this one minigame in the collection, I can let that slide. Another minigame, Parasail, is structured pretty similarly, although instead of just a platformer, it's more of an auto-scroller where you avoid a few obstacles. This one didn't hit quite as hard for me. You can speed through Jungle Jump as you learn the game's mechanics, but Parasail is kinda stuck at the same speed. You won't see it at AGDQ, that's for sure. Now the rest of the games in the collection are mainly variations on some casual games. You have a version of Solitaire, a match 3 puzzler in Cascade, Water Words, which is just wordscapes before wordscapes was a thing, Sudoku, bowling, a Zuma knockoff, and a shell game. There are also 2 other mini games I didn't unlock, one called Shrizhong, where you match different blocks, and one called Puffer Bash, which I haven't seen any footage of anywhere online. Now based on your score in each game, you earn sand dollars to use in the in-game shop. And as a kid, this mechanic had a hold on me. I loved any game where you could accumulate progress, and so the meta progression aspect kept me going. The shop lets you buy decorations for your islands, which you can use to interact with your monkey, or to also unlock other games I've talked about earlier. Now I'll admit, when it comes to these days, this unlock method can be a little annoying. The first few games are quick and easy to unlock, but the last islands cost a lot of sand dollars, going up to $100,000 before you decorate it. I hoped the later levels of games like Jungle Jump would scale how much you earn, and it did, but not by enough to keep my attention to really unlock all the games. As I mentioned, there are still 2 minigames I did not unlock by the time I decided to stop playing Tropix for the video. Beating the final level of Jungle Jump unlocked you a one-time reward of 15,000 sand dollars. With no good place to grind, I called it quits. But as a kid, the grinding was definitely less annoying, and if you're playing this game casually, those sand dollars probably stack up naturally. I stand by Tropix being a pretty good package all put together for the time. Zuma was a standalone game released 3 years before Tropix, and now there's a pretty competent ripoff as just one of 11 games here. It's definitely a collection that feels built with a lot of love, in the way a lot of these early casual games can ooze. A quick glance makes it seem like shovelware, but giving it a shot, you can definitely see the effort. Now Tropix is actually a series, something I didn't know before looking into it. There's both a Tropix 2, and more surprisingly, a Tropix DS game based on the original one. I'm going to show some video now from a really old trailer for this in like a beautiful 240p, And shout out to DS Games Hub for posting this 16 years ago. I think an old IGN review of this port sums up my opinion on the game pretty well, after they gave it a resounding 6.6 or an okay. You can take a look at the game and dismiss it as shovelware, but it's actually a pretty good compilation of some fun puzzles tied up into a pretty cool package. And I think that's more than a lot of people would expect from a no-name game from how many years ago. Now, I couldn't find a good source for its price when it released, but currently you can get discs for around $15 to $20, and you know, at the $15 I paid for it, a pretty fun trip down memory lane. But that's it for today though, folks. So remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on our next tropical getaway. Stay wavy.